We're going to talk a bit more about breathing and sleeping. And of course, when you are sleeping, you are breathing, right? Like it's impossible not to. And that also means that the health of your sleep is dependent on the health of your breath. It does also work vice versa, because any stressor in life, right, is going to impact your breathing. So if you don't sleep well, you're guaranteed not to breathe well. You're guaranteed to be slightly more aroused, sympathetic tone, running on adrenaline, and your breathing is going to be faster and more shallow throughout the day, which in turn means that this can very well become a negative cycle, right? Where if we don't breathe well, we end up not sleeping well. And then if we not sleep well, we end up breathing worse for it, right? And it can become this terrible cycle that people get stuck in. There is a lot more happening though, and this is something that should be noted, is that this is a big and very complex topic. It's actually been documented that 50% of men over the age of 50 will develop sleep apnea today. That is no joke, okay? Levels of snoring are incredibly high, to the point where I was reading the statistic the other day, which was in the United States, they're now building 31% of houses, of new houses, with an extra master bedroom. People have simply given up. Okay, that's just because snoring is just widely acknowledged to be this issue, right, that you cannot get rid of. The loudest snore, by the way, whilst I go through the facts, was 97 decibel, which is pretty much the sound of an airplane taking off. But it gets even crazier, okay, because 200 years ago, snoring and sleep apnea were pretty much non-existent, and that is to do with what we call disevolution, where we're seeing the jaw of people getting smaller, we're seeing stress levels go through the roof, and perhaps most importantly, we're seeing breathing rates go through the roof. Even when you think about snoring, right, and the same can be said for sleep apnea, what is happening is the airway might be too small, and this is what most people blame it on. And that's true, but it's not just the size of the airway that matters. It's how you use it as well, okay? And so we want to make sure that we have the appropriate amount of air flowing through our airway, and then we want to make sure that we don't have any obstruction in our airway, okay, so that we can breathe appropriately throughout the night, so that we can have a restful night sleep, and that in turn we also breathe better throughout the day. So there are a lot of things that we can do here, that we can influence. In fact, this is where it always begins. Even if there is like a structural issue, we would always still begin by correcting your natural breathing pattern, by making sure that you're breathing the right amount of air through your airway. And that is what this week is all about. Okay, it's about restoring your natural flow of breathing. And as you do so, your natural sleep rhythms will also return. I've got a little bit of a slide prepared here just to make it a bit more basic and to talk about some really quick, practical, applicable exercises. But I'll say one more thing to this, okay? You want to make sure that your daytime breathing flows optimal in order to have your nighttime breathing flowing optimal. In other words, we really want to make sure we do the work to work on our natural flow of breathing again, to get our breath back into balance, so that it can also happen at night. As much as we can use all of these tools, and they are all tricks, and they are all hacks, and they are all brilliant, and they're so clever, and they're well researched, ultimately your nighttime breathing is just a reflection of your daytime breathing. And so everything that you're going to learn in the days and weeks to come is all about how to restore your daytime breathing, which will in turn restore your nighttime breathing. But for now, let's dive in, have a little bit of an adventure, and talk about some really easy, applicable tips. Okay, this is the Breathwork bedroom, and it is some of the things that I'm going to recommend you implement for the days and weeks and perhaps even years to come. Not only so that we're making the most out of the time that we spend at night breathing, by making sure that we're breathing optimally, but also that we're not leaking air throughout the night. And this is something that you're going to hear me talk about a little bit, is blocking the leaks, making sure that if we have a daytime breathing practice where we're breathing less, we're optimizing our breathing flow, we're bringing our biochemistry back into balance, we want to make sure that at night we don't just lose it all again. So number one, here's your little checklist, right? You want to make sure the air quality is good. This is a real, actual problem. If you live in a place where there is decent air quality, ensure that you have a form of a window open throughout the night. If not, getting an air filter is such a worthwhile investment. Keep particles out. They've been shown to be really helpful with any traces of mold that might be floating around your house, around your bedroom, just without you even realizing it. Then you want to ventilate daily. I want to make sure that you open that window up in the morning. You want to make sure that you get fresh air in. This is a real, genuine concern if we do not do this, and it is important that we're breathing the right quality of air. Those three things are kind of easy, no-brainer almost, right, that we want to start with. Next up, we've got mouth taping. Now, we have created some of the best mouth tape in the game, and it's taken us a little bit of time to sort of find the ultimate shape and just the most suitable product for most people, but any tape will do at this point. What you want to make sure of is that you don't go to sleep at night and just unconsciously or unbeknownst to you, your lip tone is lost and your mouth opens just a little bit. The first time I tried mouth tape was 2017, and I was religiously tracking my sleep at the time. My deep sleep increased by 20% without changing anything else. That was really significant. And I was actually a decent breather at the time, or so I thought. There was no obvious concerns, except that every now and then I would wake up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, or sometimes in the morning I would just need to pee so badly that it was almost painful. I thought that was normal. That's not normal. That is a byproduct of your kidneys dumping bicarbonate, which is a byproduct of you over-breathing. If you're over-breathing, your body is overcompensating for it. We're supposed to have a full, restful night sleep. You're supposed to wake up in the morning and have a perfectly hydrated mouth. It's not supposed to feel dry in any way. You're not supposed to have those trips in the middle of the night. You're also not supposed to have nightmares, night terrors, restless leg syndrome, and there are so many other factors that can be a result of mouth breathing at night. So give this an honest go. People often ask about children, and the answer is absolutely. Traditional tribes, Native Americans, were actually starting with babies, and they would religiously walk around and seal the lips because they understood almost intuitively that that is how the face is shaped, and they actually believed that kept the bad spirits out. And if you look at the consequences of mouth breathing in children, they were right. Okay, it does keep the bad spirits of poor development right out of there, and of disease right out of there. So make sure that the entire family gets onto it. Make sure that you start with you. Okay, it's very simple. You just take a little bit of tape, and if you can't find any mouth tape near you, which you can, but if you don't want to go the difficult route, just go to the pharmacy and just buy any kind of tape. This tape is specifically designed. This hole is actually really important when you're looking for quality mouth tape because it ensures that your body can still leak an excess bit of CO2 when it needs to. And if it can't do that, it can actually disturb your sleep once again. So the hole's there for a reason. Okay, what you do is you simply, pretty straightforward, put it over the lips. This one is the shape of the lips, which works really well for people with facial hair, for anybody really. There are other ones as well, some that are really big, but again, you want to look for the little hole. That's just a little pro tip there. Another thing you want to do is put it on whilst you're still upright, sort of like I did just now, right? Put it up whilst you're still vertical. It neurologically helps you adjust to wearing the tape, which means that the likelihood of you keeping it on overnight, your brain not sort of making you take it off, is much higher. Rather than laying down flat on the pillow and doing it last thing, do it first thing. Brush your teeth, walk around, have a glass of water, put the tape on, then go to bed. And you'll transition into sleep, and there's a much greater chance you'll keep the tape on. You do have to stick with it, quite literally, which means that you need to keep doing it for about 5 to 7 days. It just takes that long for your nervous system to adjust to wearing the tape, and this is normal and natural. So the first night, you might wake up with the tape in your hair. No problem. Just keep doing it. You need it all the more. So keep taping. Do it for at least 7 nights. And then 30 nights is a really good starting point. If you do a conscious breathing program with it along the way, like you're about to, you might find you won't need the tape anymore after a period of time. But this is what I'll say. It is really important that whilst you're going through the program, you are taping. This is for the simple reason that we are actually changing your biochemistry at quite a vital foundational level. This means that we're changing your breathing pattern around. We're working with neuroplasticity here. Your body initially might want to push back a little bit. I liken it to stretching a band. Your CO2 tolerance is a little bit like a band, right? The amount of air that you breathe. We want to gently start nudging it open and make sure that you're breathing less, but your body might have these little rebound effects throughout, meaning that it might be used to breathing so much, so it's going to try to sneak away little breaths. We'll talk about this more, but at night, you want to make sure that your body is not sneaking off all of the hard work you're putting in during the day. And the easiest way is to tape your mouth. Next up, make sure you have some salt in water upon waking. I recommend getting some electrolytes. The water we drink today is no longer sufficient in minerals. We need electrolytes. Every single person does. Specifically when you're doing breathwork, you are changing the mineral balance of your blood. You really want to make sure you're taking electrolytes. And this could just also help with any cleansing effects that you encounter along the way. Here's another really cool tip. And what this one does is it makes sure that your head position stays correct and you don't tip open and open your mouth at night. raise the head of the mattress slightly. It's actually, there's a whole movement around this, okay? I got really lost in this rabbit hole once upon a time. It's fascinating stuff. Animals in the wild all sleep at an angle whenever they have the opportunity to do so. It's the same for trees. They're built a set at a specific angle so that their fluids drain better. Humans are not different. We're meant to be slightly elevated at night. And I know this goes against everything that you've ever learned, and I'll put some links down below and you can check it out for yourself. But even the ancient Egyptians used to do it. They had these head elevation beds that they slept in. Okay. Basically, if you want to get the benefits of this, and just for reference, a 9% increase was shown to reduce snoring by 23%. A 16% increase reduced it by 35%. So you're literally cutting your snoring in half if you raise your bed by about 25%. We don't need to start that much though. And all you're going to do is you're simply going to get 1 or 2 towels is what I recommend to start with. And this works great. You can do it whilst you're in a hotel room. You can get a towel anywhere, right? And what you do is you go under the mattress and you simply put it under the head of the mattress. So what's going to happen is the angle is just slightly changed and your head is going to be slightly elevated from your body. Your lymphatic system will work better. Your heart will have to work less hard. You'll recover better, but most importantly, your mouth won't open. The likelihood of your mouth opening at night is much smaller and your breathing will be better because your airway can remain open. Small change to make. The advanced way of doing this, by the way, is going under the bed head. So going under the frame of the bed itself and lifting the top end, so that you get a really clear, clean angle. Because if you lift only the mattress, you're only cutting the head, which is fine. But if you want to do it really neatly, get a couple of wedges. You want to go for about 3 inches or 12 centimeters, something like that. Right? Just raise the entire bed so that you're getting this beautiful incline. The more the better, to be honest. I haven't really seen any negative effects from doing this, so give it a go. And also let me know if this works for you, and let me know if you enjoy the resources that I'll share, because it's pretty fascinating stuff. Last but not least, your sleeping position. Okay, you want to make sure you sleep on your side when it comes to breathing. I don't care what arguments you've heard about sleeping on your back from perhaps people that are more in the posture world. Sleeping on your back is horrible for your breath. Your respiratory system was not in any way meant to sleep on your back, and it pretty much guarantees that as you and your system declines over age, you're going to end up snoring. Do not sleep on your back, if at all possible. Sleep on your side, okay? You also don't want to sleep on your front, because that clearly is not going to work. Side sleeping is ideal. Maybe you put a pillow between your legs for a period of time to make sure that you stay on your side. But if you do snore, or if you do suffer from sleep apnea, you got to do whatever you can to get yourself off your back, because it will just mess up your breathing, okay? And then the temperature. The ideal temperature for sleeping and breathing is between 15 and 18 degrees. So this is what we are aiming for at night. Hopefully there's some useful practical tips in there. Right now, maybe go ahead, put those towels under the head of your bed and get yourself some mouth tape. Run to the pharmacy if you have to. Get on our website, find yourself some mouth tape, tape up at night, and you're already going to notice significant difference. And just a gentle reminder, it is all the more important whilst you're doing these breathwork exercises that you're supporting your breath at night. Okay, I have full confidence that you're going to see effects from this, and I don't think you'll ever turn back. So enjoy and let me know how you